It started raining, so we were indoor. Then, at about the time now, then the husband, Fulani men, just came nowhere. They started with hunting us at the police station over there.
You're at the police station? That's where it started?
Yes. No, fully, they knew very well that the police station are there and they are wearing arms, preparing for whatever that will comes. Then from there,
did they chase the policemen away?
No, the policemen were there to attack them. They did their job.
They did their best.
Their best. Then from there, knowing that okay, they have attacked them fully there, then another group was down here without the notice of the policemen. Then they started opening the door from one door to another. They were with many weapons. They break the door. While entering into the door, into the room, they will pour the fuel and then
light fire.
And then that is how it started. And we are hopeless. And what you have.
Very sad account there, you would agree with me. As we've just heard, the eyewitness accounts are a terribly sobering reminder of the gravity of the situation in Benue State. And despite the relocation of the Chief of Army Staff Oluyede to the state aimed at bolstering security efforts, the attacks persist and it has left a lot of citizens asking questions. To what end? For how long will this be on? Yes, a lot of opinions, a lot of ideas, a lot of arguments shared. Many people having opinions around what the real situation or the root causes are. But let's dive deeper into the implications of these attacks and what more can be done to ensure the safety and security of the people. We'll be examining the effectiveness of the Chief of Army Staff's relocation and what additional measures might be necessary to bring peace to Benue State. Joining me now is Dr. Steve Okori, a renowned security expert and analyst with a deep understanding of Nigeria's security landscape. Dr. Okori brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our discussion, having written extensively on issues around national security, conflict resolution, and governance. Good afternoon, Dr. Okori.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
We are glad to have you on the show to share your insights on the recent attacks in Benue State and the broader security challenges facing Nigeria. But of course, it's a very sober day for every Nigerian citizen, maybe every concerned Nigerian citizen. So let's get straight into the conversation. Dr. Okori, the eyewitness accounts we've seen today paint a harrowing picture of the attacks in Yele Wata community. And based on these accounts, it seems that the attackers were well coordinated. What does this suggest to you about the nature of the threats currently facing Benue State? And how should security forces respond? Understanding that the CEO, the Chief of Army Staff, is even supposed to be in Benue State.
Yeah, first of all, let me sympathize with victims and the families of the dead in this dastardly genocidal act by some criminal elements in Benue State. Unfortunately, I'm from Benue and I feel the pains of these innocent Nigerians, defenseless Nigerians that were in their sleep. Some of them were sleeping. If you listen to the eyewitness account that you heard before we started this conversation, 10:45 p.m., that's almost 11 p.m. So it means that innocent children and women were already asleep. And these criminals, terrorists, because this is a terrorism act. Because how can you just go into a community, begin to burn houses, burn children, women, men inside a house that you just come pour fuel and light up the place for just no reason, no just cause. So this is even worse than a terrorism act, if you ask me. It's so sad that we find ourselves in this kind of situation, and this is not new. We are not experiencing these things for the first time. These are criminal acts that have been perpetrated by these criminals over a decade now, and up till now, as you and I are talking, we are still doing the same thing over and over again, and we expect a different result. What I see on
How
TV
does he want me to
is
respond? The camera was showing
political
that.
leaders trading blames, the governor pointing fingers at this, the other ones keeping quiet. When I expect that as concerned citizens, as concerned political leaders, I expect that at this point in time, all of them should be coming together to see that there's an end to this act of criminality, barbaric act. It's so sad that we have allowed politics into the security space, we have allowed religion, we have allowed different distractions into the security space. And unfortunately for me, all these acts either increased or they started in this Fourth Republic. For how long can we continue like this? I think it's high time that we begin to think outside the box. Because for me, we are still thinking inside and we are still remaining within the box, both at the government level and also at the security agencies level. You talked about the Chief of Army Staff relocation to Benue. What impact has that made? Because the last time you and I had this conversation was we talked about the Chief of Army Staff's relocation to Benue. And I told you it was a good strategy because his presence will boost the morals of the soldiers in the front line. But also, it wasn't strategic, right? Because such movement, such military operations, just the way I told you, there wasn't need for any publicity, right? Now the man had gone and he has returned to Abuja. And look at the carnage or the what we are seeing today. And unfortunately for me, the governor said the number of persons that died was around 54 or 59 or thereabout. But we are hearing that close to 200 innocent Nigerians were killed. So why do we now have issues or challenges when it has to do with data? Right? We're talking about human lives, and we cannot give the accurate figure. We're having conflicting figures. So I think a
I
proper
want to ask a
investigation.
question. I don't know if you can hear me now.
I'm hearing you.
Yeah, you talked about these issues springing up at the beginning or within this Fourth Republic. Some other people have come to say that the issues are more of political land disputes and issues around people claiming ownership of other people's lands. But you share a different opinion. Please tell us more about the beginning of all of this Fourth Republic, since you suggested that. And you also mentioned that the COAS, the Chief of Army Staff, had gone back to Abuja. When did this happen? Because if there was so much news about his relocation to Benue State, then it shouldn't be much of silence when he's going back, when he returned to Abuja. Because if we have this persistent attack, despite the awareness of these attackers that the Chief of Army Staff was supposed to be in Benue State, would you say that, does this not raise questions about the adequacy of the current security approach that the government the government chose to explore? Sorry.
As I speak, or as we're having this conversation, the Chief of Army Staff had left from Benue, right? And for me, just the way I told you, I said the Chief of Army Staff doesn't necessarily must be in Benue for the soldiers to or the officers to do what is expected of them. Remember, I told you that if you are spiritually connected, you can pray from here, and somebody in London or in my village can get healed.
Yeah, you mentioned.
So the Chief of Army Staff, yes, the Chief of Army Staff can still remain in Abuja, provided he has that trust, confidence, and the commitment of his troops and officers in the operations that they have embarked upon in Benue. But right now, he went to Benue and is back. As I speak to you, the IGP is right now in Benue. But I think that, just the way I said, we are still doing the same thing, right? Going to Benue, what is it that they are going to do differently? What is it that they are going to do differently? Now, you and I, we are aware that these crimes are local and they happen in our rural communities. I expect that by now, the government should be on its toes, trying to see that a structure, a local structure that should be providing local intelligence for the police, for the military to work with, should be on ground now. And why am I saying this? Just the way you said, I did a lot of research when it has to do with local policing, right? And I've done a lot of research about having our local communities where we should have security presence. These local communities don't have the presence of security. And this is not the first time, and it is not new, it is not strange that we don't have presence of security in our rural communities where these attacks happen. So, and that is why I want to still commend President Tinubu as one of the presidents that have thought in this direction, that having national forest guards is a way to go to be able to address these issues at the local government, at the local level. And that is why I want to use this opportunity to say, rather than conceiving or coming up with a new security structure such as the National Forest Guards that he has approved for its establishment, there's already a Nigerian Forest Security Service that is on ground. And rather than thinking of something new, because we don't have the time, there's no ample time. The opportunity to begin to go after these perpetrators is now. Why not adopt the Nigerian Forest Security Service that are eager to go into these forests? Because these criminals have found these forests as safe haven. And that is where they use as hideouts. They go into these forests in our local communities, come out, strike, retreat, regroup, and come back. So right now, I think that for us to act, and to act swiftly, is for the president to look at the Nigerian Forest Security Service bill that is before him, assent the bill so that this Nigerian Forest Security Service can begin to act in that gap that we are experiencing, the presence of non-security agents or officers in our rural communities.
All right. You know, there's been a lot of reaction, like I said, while I was giving my introduction earlier. Some of the opinions shared online, someone said something that I want you to react to. He said that there are some problems that is beyond the head of the family, that's referring to the president. He said, have you guys wondered why more than 7 Nigerian presidents since 1988 have not been able to resolve Kaduna Jos crisis completely? No one is happy about the crisis, but it is not always about the presidents. The locals need to look inward. The governor has more answers to these questions than those clamoring for the president's attention. What do you make of his thoughts, and how do you react to that?
Now, to respond to that, I want to refer the person to the Constitution. The Constitution talks about security and welfare, and the Constitution clearly said, and it's explicit, that it is the primary 3 tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local, right? So when a local government chairman is failing to provide security for his or her people, right, it means that that 3rd tier of government is failing. If the state is also failing, it means the state is failing. And if the federal also is failing, it means the federal is also failing. So for me, it is the 3 tiers of government. In as much as we are saying this, the president has a role to play, the governors have roles to play, the local government chairmen have roles to play, right, in addressing the insecurity issues. And other critical stakeholders in our various communities at the state and at the federal all have roles to play in addressing the insecurity issues in the country. But the bulk stops at the president's table, at the governor's table, and at the local government chairman's table. Right?
So at what point does it stop at the local government chairman's
because
table?
Because they have the constitutional powers to provide security for the citizens. Right?
Okay, you just said that the buck stop on the president's table, on the governor's table, and on the local government chairman's table. At what point does it stop on their tables?
The president has the powers Okay, now, just the way the president has the powers and the prerogative to have security meetings or briefings with the service chiefs, the IGP and the other heads of security agencies at the federal level, the governors also have such powers to summon the heads of security agencies at the state level. And don't also forget that the local government chairmen also have heads of security agencies at the local government level. You have the DPOs, you have the head of DSS at the local government level, you have the head of the civil defense at the local government level, you have local security outfits like the Nigerian Forest Security Service at the local government level. The chairman can also summon these guys to have security briefings, security meetings. And because these crimes happen in our rural communities, it means that the third tier have serious critical role because they are at the grassroots.
Right.
Information about killings and all that can come from the very rural communities, and these clan heads or some community leaders that come for such meeting can also bring this information at that local government level. Now, we don't have functional local government system.
But is that an excuse for different tiers of government to be responsible?
Now, does the local government allocation go straight to the local government chairman?
Yeah. Doctor, can you hear me, doctor? Okay, that's some network issues there. I would like us to reconnect that and come back to the conversation because we really need to dwell more on these eyewitness accounts. There have been a lot of reports, counter reports, but most importantly, we're grateful for the opportunity of having access to people that were actually in the community when these things happen. Let's go on a quick break to work on these network issues. We'll come back to talk about this.
Sorry for your loss, sir. Sorry, sir, for your loss. Sorry, sir.
Sir, we'll move forward.
Let's move forward.
Yes, we have other places.
Four people.
Yes, the mother of the Reverend Father. And we can see what he said is blood.
Mother of a reverend father.
Yes.
So all these are blood.
Yeah.
A sibling, one little girl that just graduated from State University. Mother of the Reverend Father. That is where they killed the farmer. We'll go down to that place. There's another place down there.
There are other places down there.
Let's go.
Do a fish shot. You forgot this one.
There we have it, eyewitness. I mean, this is not even hearsay. This is not speculation. It's clear. It's open for so many people to see, though amateur video, but that's the reality on ground. But glad to have you back, Dr. Okori. Can you hear me now? Hello, doctor. Okay, I just hope that we can have this conversation as soon as possible, because for eyewitnesses to have mentioned that the attackers targeted specific community and households, that speaks volume. This is something that, I mean, the people within the security architecture understands better. There must have been something that must have suggested the motivation behind these attacks, and how the security agencies can use this information to prevent future attacks is also very important. Yes, Eyewitness also said that the policemen were fully on ground, helping to counterattack these men they allege are Fulani men. But I mean, in all of these things, they were able to overpower the Nigerian police force, hereby attacking from another angle. It's a long video, and I hope that you get the details of everything that they've said. If this is the situation of people that are supposed to protect people, then it means that there's so much that needs to be done. We should also look at how the government can balance the need for security with the need to address the root causes of the conflict in Benue State, because there has to be a long-term strategy that has to be proposed and fully implemented to ensure that these tragedies do not happen in the future. But let me come to Dr. Okori again. Hello, doctor.
Yes.
All right. I was talking about the eyewitness reports, which said one of the eyewitnesses mentioned that the attackers targeted specific communities and households. He mentioned that the police were on ground to assist them, but unfortunately, they outsmarted the police, thereby attacking them from a totally different angle, with emphasis on specific communities and households. We also saw in that video a farmer who is in the business, I think rice farming or so, and it was said that the old storage was burnt down. That's about the richest man in that community. If there are attacks targeted at specific community and households, what does this suggest about the motivation behind these attacks? Dr. Corey, are you there?
Yes, I can. You know, the line, I'm here, it's going up and on. So please go ahead now.
Okay, I'll repeat the question again. One of the eyewitnesses mentioned that the attackers targeted specific communities and households. And from the video that we saw a rice farmer whose entire storage was burnt down. And according to eyewitness, they said he is about the richest man in that community. So if attackers are targeting specific communities and households, what does this suggest about the motivation behind these attacks?
When we get this kind of information, before we will know whether it's an intelligence information or something, it goes to show that there's a possibility of internal collaboration, right? Because how would the attackers now know this is the richest man in the community, and were able to identify that this was his rice storage for them to go and set it ablaze, right? So I think that a lot of info, we need to carry out serious and detailed investigation with regards to what is happening in these communities that are attacked almost on a regular basis, right? And that is why I said we should not continue to do the same thing and we expect a different result. That's not possible. It's only a mad person that will do that, right? Now, we have identified the problem. We have identified the challenge. Now, what are we doing to put in place to be able to checkmate these attacks, or to see that the attacks are reduced drastically? Now, a whole lot needs to be done. All hands must be on deck, right? As I said earlier, it is not a time for us to begin to trade blames, to begin to point accusing fingers at one politician or the other, or as political leaders, we choose or prefer to be silent about the issues. Right? These are our people that are being killed, innocent people, for just no cause. People come, kill them. And we are talking about, this is a farming season, right? And what you know that there's a lot of implication, because if these peasant farmers cannot access their farmlands and all that, do you know the consequences that comes with it, right? There will not be enough supply in the market, right? And there will be more demand. We're talking about food security here. So a lot needs to be done. I think we must have that political will. It's not about just go to Makurdi, the state capital, and return back by our heads of security agencies. A lot needs to be done. If we don't have enough manpower, what do we do? Or what do we need to do to see that able-bodied Nigerian youth are recruited into the police, into the army, into the navy, into the air force, into the civil defense? We need to see that we have a local security structure on ground. Just the way I said, we have the Nigerian Forest Security Service. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm trying to get the details of your submission.
But now, Bauchi, if you look at Bauchi State, for instance, there's relative peace in Bauchi. Do you know why? The governor is working hand in hand with the Nigerian Forest Security Service because he knows what the effort such as the local structure is making. The officers are personnel of the Nigerian Forest Security Service. They are eager to go to the forest. They need to be motivated to go into the forest to be able to confront these criminal elements, and they need to go with also sophisticated arms and ammunition to be able to confront these criminal elements in the forest. That's where they hide, right? And that is why Bauchi is succeeding. Is the Benue governor working in synergy with such a local structure in Benue, because I'm aware that the Nigerian Forest Security Service is also in Benue, right? So there's need for the governor to also work with this local structure, in synergy with the authority of the Nigerian Forest Security Service, because the conventional ones are not giving us the desired results. So why won't we now begin to see how to change tactics? Let us be innovative. Let us think of something new to be able to confront these criminals when they go to attack our people in the hinterlands.
Okay, so in one word, if you are to give the governor your word, if he is going to listen to you, what will you be saying to him right now as regards long-term strategies that would address the root causes of insecurity and prevent similar tragedies in the future? In one word.
One, we must call a Benue Security Summit. An emergency Benue Security Summit needs to be called up by the governor now. All political leaders, all traditional rulers, people, community leaders from these communities that are being attacked on daily basis, we must have to bring them together.
Okay.
Call security experts to come. Let us have brainstorm and look at the way forward. There are another way.
All right, thank you very much. I can't take all of that anymore. We are pressed for time. I think we need to do this again. Apologies for the glitch in network during the program. Let's do this again, Doctor, please. All right, as we conclude this discussion, I want to emphasize that the voices of the people of Benue State will not be silenced. It will be heard. We will continue to amplify their stories, their struggles, and their resilience. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. We remain committed to telling the stories that matter, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. Until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep pushing for change. My name is Adefunke Jaisimi, and I strongly believe in this project, Nigeria. Nigeria will rise and be great again. Good afternoon.